Another way that you look at stress, and one of the ways that kind of falls into that whole pattern of even physical things like how much fat your body stores and how that's related to weak adrenals and adaptogenic herbs and rhodiola, which I mentioned earlier. If you look at all the research out of Russia, and that's where almost all the research on rhodiola comes from, because the Russians seem to be really involved. If you remember, if you're my age, you remember back when the Olympics used to be about the hate between the Russians and the United States, and how they all had their secrets, and the Russians used to have this amazing team that they put together. And a lot of it was based on research they did on adaptogenic herbs like eleuthero and rhodiola, and how it actually restored the system and helped the body to relax from stress, and it oxygenated the blood and had all these effects. And yet none of that information ever got out of Russia until in the last 20 years, because they were so into that competition and the secrecy of everything. And so if you want good information on rhodiola or adaptogens, you go to Russia, is where they've done all the landmark studies on it. But one in particular I really thought was fascinating was the fact that when you take rhodiola, within an hour of exercising, your body actually releases for energy about 40% more fatty acids to be burned during that workout. So it has this real definite effect on burning fat, which is what you want to kind of get into as you exercise more, become a fat burning machine. And so rhodiola, just as part of a program, not only then regulates stress and works on your body that way, but can have a direct effect on supplying you with a natural substance your body releases to give you more energy when you work out. Rhodiola and adaptogens are also one of the best herbs for even the average person to have part of a program, because offsetting that stress and balancing the glandular system is probably the best way that you can allow your body to regulate itself and not start to lay down so much energy, stored energy, as abdominal fat. That's truly a sign of how your excess sugar, excess calories, and stress all kind of combine to create another major health problem that kind of snowballs you down the road to really falling apart and creating major health issues. Now, one of the things I'm going to kind of close with here is I want to talk a little bit about brain energy, because one of my main things that I love to talk about is how to have a program that has an anti-aging effect on your brain. I don't think there's anything more important these days than doing something or having something as part of a program, no matter what you're involved with, that protects your brain. This is extremely important for anybody in today's modern life, maybe more so for athletes, because again, a lot of athletics puts you under a tremendous amount of stress. The physical stress, if you're overdoing it, you could get into a habit of actually turning on too much stress response. And there's a lot of people these days that worry so much about Alzheimer's and dementia, and it's a logical thing to do. It's replaced cancer as the #1 fear in America. And a lot of it has to do with the idea or the fact that we're exposed to so many toxins added to our high level of stress that it creates a toxic environment for the brain. Now, if you follow brain disease at all, or what they call accelerated aging of the brain, you realize that no one wants to put out an answer as to what's really going on. It's really not about one thing, but when you look at basic function, if you look at what actually happens to a brain under stress, then you realize one of the most important things that you have to be proactive about is reducing your stress and doing something that protects your brain. When you're under a lot of stress and you have what's called excessive stress hormone and you have high levels all the time, what it basically does to an area of your brain called the hippocampus is that it exposes it to a very large or accelerated amount of toxins and causes the deterioration or inflammation of that part of your brain. Now, stress hormone itself doesn't actually damage the hippocampus. What it does is turn it into almost a sponge for other toxins in your diet that make it up into your brain, and just accelerates the amount that is absorbed into that part of your brain. So any logical person can look at that and think that, well, one thing I have to do to protect myself is pay attention to what I eat, make sure that I'm not adding toxins, unknown toxins as much as possible, cut down on the known toxins, excessive alcohol, certain types of drugs, medicines you may go on because you're eating an imbalanced diet, but also paying attention to what your levels of stress are, how much sleep you're actually getting. If you're not shutting off stress hormone every day, then you're exposing your brain to accelerated damage. And the problem with this is that it's completely different from any other ailment that you might get, or injury, or however you want to classify it. The reality is that 80% of your brain can be damaged before you actually get a symptom. Think about that, 80%. So actually starting to develop symptoms of dementia and Alzheimer's is kind of like falling off of a cliff. You don't know it's happening till the very first step, and then it's impossible to get back up and get back on. And so anybody that's aware of their health at all today should take some simple steps to actually protect their brain. One, a diet high in nutrients, properly balanced with omega-3 fatty acids, proper fats, proteins. Feed your brain and your body. Don't just think of it in terms of physical energy. Another thing is cut down on the amount of toxins in your system. Get a good water filtration system. Don't be drinking the chemicals that come in tap water. Pay attention to eating whole foods, natural foods that don't have additives to it, that don't have flavor enhancers, that all these different chemicals that are known to disrupt brain function and cause inflammation. And look at adding herbs, some type of herbal program that allows your body to establish natural rhythm, even in the presence of high performance exercise, and allow it to go into restoration, sleep, and replenishment on a daily basis.